Hi guys, welcome back. Today I have something a bit different for you. I haven't, announced it yet, but I had planned, or I still have planned, to read as many books in German as I can this month. The 3rd of October is the Tag der Wiedervereinigung and a national holiday in Germany, and so I thought I would challenge myself to read as many books in German as I can throughout the month of October. And I thought I would walk you through the books that I have available on my TBR that are written in German and that I'm excited to read, and we'll see which ones I get to. And I'm really happy I have this little selection because it is one of my year goals to really get back into reading both in French and in German. And so I'm excited to do that this month. So I have put the books in some sorts of categories, but they're not really strict. And I'm going to start with a category I am not talking as often about on this channel as I used to in the beginning. Just because I've fallen out of habit of reading these kind of stories, and that's myths and legends. And I have 2 books here in German that would fit into this category. The first one, I hope it's not going to be too shiny, it's shiny, is the Book of Celtic Myths, das Buch der keltischen Mythen. I picked up this book in my local bookshop because it was just so pretty. And I have started reading the Poetic Edda in its German translation, and it's kind of difficult. And the idea with this book is that I get some understanding of the stories themselves, so that this will make it easier at some point to read the original sagas. So we'll see about that. But this one is definitely one that is high time I get to, honestly. As well as this one, which I picked up in the flea market here just around the corner, Alemannische Sagen. So here where I'm located is the language area where people speak Alemannisch. And a lot of these stories are set in the region I'm currently living in and around about. And I think also even across the border up to Alsace. So I'm really excited about that. And it's always nice to kind of get to know an area through the stories that people used to tell each other. Next up, I have 2 non-fiction books. The first one is a memoir that I'm really excited to get to, and it's called Deutsch, sein und schwarz, dazu. So being German and black as well, by Theodor Michael. This is a short memoir of a German black man who kind of lived through Nazi Germany. His father is from Cameroon and his mother is from Germany, and I think he went through a lot. And I need more stories like these, especially in our times where there's still so much racism and we haven't moved really far on that front at all. And these stories need to be told, so I'm really, really excited to get to that one. And next up, I also have this gorgeous book that my husband gifted me, das Allerletzte. That kind of means the last thing, and by that death is meant. So it's a book about death, and it has a lot of historical anecdotes. It's supposed to be a lot about how people viewed death in history, how they do now. There's, I think, also a collection of last words of people, of well-known people. I don't know much about this, but I also kind of want to jump into this blind and see what I can take from it. This is definitely one that is also really, really overdue for a read. Next up is the book in German that I've had on my TBR for the longest. I honestly don't know if I will pick up the courage to read it this month, but it's really high time I read this book because I've been dying to read it. And that is Das Narrenschiff by Sebastian Brant. This is a book that I think was first printed in the 1490s, as far as I remember. And it's essentially a moral satire of the 15th century society. And I've heard it's very funny, but also very sarcastic and sometimes also scarily relevant today. So this is one I want to get to at some point, but as I said, I don't know if it's gonna happen this month. Next up, I have 3 novels, and the first one is the oldest one. Please excuse this cover. I got this book for free on the street. Someone obviously had a lot of fun with this. This is Der Richter und sein Henker, the judge and his executioner, by Swiss-German author Friedrich Dürrenmatt. I am a big fan of his play Der Besuch der alten Dame, which I've already talked about when talking about German books. And I want to read more by him. And this is supposed to be a crime novel, but with an unreliable detective. So I'm really excited to get to that one. So this is from the 1950s, but the 2 other novels that I have are more contemporary ones. The first one is Heimsuchung by Jenny Erpenbeck. I think most of Jenny Erpenbeck's work has been translated into English. And I don't know much about this. I know it touches on East Germany, and I know it's about a woman who kind of reminisces about her time in a house that she goes back to from her childhood. That's all I know about this. And the other one is Altes Land by Dörte Hansen. This is, I think, a story that deals a lot with the feeling of like home, Heimat, and it's about a young girl who emigrated from East Prussia after the Second World War. I also have a play by Friedrich Dürrenmatt that I definitely want to get to, and that is Die Physiker, as in like scientists who study physics. And as far as I know, it's set in a psychiatric hospital, and we follow 2 scientists. And one of them has made a discovery that he doesn't want to share with the world because it would essentially mean its destruction. So I am very intrigued about that. I assume it's going to be a lot about the ethics of science, which I'm always really interested in. So really excited about that one. And it's also one that was specifically recommended to me by Claudia in our video that we made together about French and German literature, so I definitely have to get to that one. And finally, I have a few bits and pieces, some short stories and poetry. Firstly, I have some poetry by Rainer Maria Rilke. I've already read some poetry by him last year around Christmas time. It was a collection that was a lot about Christmas and how the feeling of Christmas and this joy that you have changes when you get older and when you're essentially confronted to the not so good things that happen in the world and how it can be difficult to be excited about it again as you've been when you were a child. And a lot of the poems I could really connect with. So I picked up these 2 little reclam editions of some poems. I don't know, I'm gonna see what's in there, as well as a poetry collection that is called Düsener Elegien and the Sonnets to Orpheus. So we'll see how I get on with these. And I also have a tiny collection of short stories by him. One of them is called Die Letzten, the last ones. And I know virtually nothing about this, but I know I like his writing, so we'll see how I get on with this. And finally on my list as well, on my ebook list specifically, is Schachnovelle by Stefan Zweig. I think it's called The Chess Player or The Chess Game in English. I'll definitely put the English translation in the description box. And this one is really intriguing to me. It's a short story and I have no excuse to not get to it. The framing story is apparently set on a flight from New York to Buenos Aires, and we have a man that meets a kind of chess master, and the chess player starts telling about his life as an immigrant coming from Austria, who fled Austria because of the Nazi regime. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot to unpack there as well. All right, this is the little collection of books that I have available. written in German that I would like to get to at some point. I am looking forward to all of these, frankly, and I would definitely like to know from you. Have you had any experience with any of these authors? Have you read any of these books? Are you interested in them? What kind of books written by German authors do you know? Have you read any? Tell me your favorites. And in the meantime, I hope you're reading great books, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!